Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is currently 10:03 p.m. on this warm, can't believe I'm saying that, Sunday evening going into Monday morning. It is currently 66 degrees outside. I was just talking to Tanya on the phone before I left the house, and she was like, it's so warm outside. She's like, it warmed up from this morning, because this morning it was like in the upper 40s today. It was really cold outside. Okay, let me just tell you, I just took a nap. Alex has a girlfriend visiting from out of town. The girl that got married in Dallas, that we went to her wedding, she's visiting. She's just here for like 48 hours. So he met up with her at Ocean Prime, have a glass of wine, and see her, because he never gets to see her. Her parents don't live here anymore, just her brother, so she rarely comes home. And so he went to go see her. So I took a nap with the dogs, and I woke up from the most terrifying nightmare I have had, and I don't even know how long. And it's pitch black in the house. Let me just tell you what I woke up to, okay? It's pitch black in the house. The nightmare that I had took place in our house. It was exactly our house with our neighbor. She was in my nightmare too. And I'm laying there in bed, and just imagine how scary this would be, okay? I'm laying there in bed, and I don't know if you ever wake up from a nightmare and you're trying to get acclimated and you're like, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. Like, okay, and the whole house is dark. So I was like laying there, and all of a sudden I hear somebody walking down the street. Like, I can hear them whistling, and they're walking down the street past our house. Just like whistling to themselves. I was so scared. I can't even tell you guys how scared I was, okay? So I immediately was like, Alexa, lights on. I was terrified, and the whole like bedroom lit up. And then I was like laying there with the dogs, and they couldn't tell what was going on, you know? And like, I was scared to like leave and go vlog, like, and get in my car, which is so silly. But like, the whole nightmare took place like inside our condo and like in the front of the condo. But like in my dream, our neighbor's condo and our condo was like connected by, it was similar, but almost exactly the same condo that we have. A little different inside, but in the middle of the condo, like where our staircase is, or our bathroom, that was part of the kitchen in my dream. And our condo and our neighbor's condo was connected by a door, like inside, and it was like you know, like when you stay in a hotel room, like an adjoining room, like we had adjoining condos that we could like go through. And so, because she came in to my condo that way, it was just scary. It was really scary, and I was just telling Tanya about it on the phone, because, you know, most of the nightmares that I actually have quite a few nightmares, and I used to have night terrors back in the day. It was really interesting. I was just, which book was it? One of the books I was reading was about night terrors. And I had night terrors when I was a kid, and I used to have them with my ex, where he would have to like try to wake me up, and sometimes he couldn't. Like, I would just be like, ah, and I'd be like sweating profusely, and I couldn't wake up, even though like I knew he was it was the weirdest thing. I can't even explain it. And so finally, you know, like, I would wake up from him. But I haven't had a night terror in forever. But I have quite a few nightmares. I think it's because of like all the scary stuff that I consume, you know, like, which is probably not healthy. Like the books that this month I have, it's not just that I'm reading like scary books for Halloween. Like, I'm reading like some really dark, scary subject matter. I mean, the last book that I read was part about a girl's descent into mental health issues, or it could have been paranormal stuff. I don't want to say which, because I don't want to like ruin it for anybody, but it talks about both in there. You know, another book was about abductions and killings. The book that I'm listening to right now that I just started, The Shadows, is about a killing that happens and then like a copycat killer 25 years later. I mean, it's really dark stuff, and so I'm ready for November to hit so I can start reading my cozy mystery. I mean, I could start reading them today if I wanted to, but it's just been really, you know, like it's been a month of like consuming a lot of like really dark stuff. And then on top of that, you know, I'm watching Dracula, and which is pretty dark, honestly. And then I watched, I mean, a horror movie like almost every single day. So maybe that's where it's all coming from. I don't know. I don't feel real stressed or anything. In fact, I feel really good. So I don't think it comes as a result of that. I just think I have a creative mind that works overtime on stuff, and I really want something to drink is what I want. I have just a little bit, I don't, maybe even a sip of coffee left from today at brunch. So I wonder if that McDonald's down there is still open. If not, I'll go through the one at Castleton. I'll turn around and go back. But, yeah, it just was really, really scary. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. It was so scary. And it was real, too. You know, like, that's the other thing is that, like, most of my nightmares that I have, like, take place, like, in my childhood home or, like, in the basement, which was always a scary place for me. Or they'll take places that, like, are made up in my head or whatever, you know? Which, analyze that all you want. I already know what basements represent in dream interpretation and all of that stuff. So I just think it means I had a scary basement when I was growing up. But supposedly it's like hidden fears and all this kind of stuff. But you know, unearthed fears or whatever. We just had a terrifying basement. I can't, like, looking back now, it's interesting because our basement was so much scarier. Well, I think back on it now than I ever knew that it was. Like, I mean, our basement isn't finished, so it's cement, you know, and concrete walls, but it was cement. I drive by here every single day of my life for the last 20 years, and I turned into the wrong place. But our basement now is cement and concrete walls, but there's no window out. So when you're down there, you know? The basement that I grew up in was all cement and concrete walls, but it also had, like, and it was huge. It was, like, really big. At the far end of the room, you would go into one room that was, like, an extra, I mean, it was, like, none of this was finished, but you would go into one room, and then that room went into another room. So there was like two rooms at the end of the wall. And then when you came down the stairs, right immediate to the left was our laundry room. I knew my husband was gonna call while I started vlogging. Hold on a second, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. He was just telling me that he had just gotten home. Anyway, so when you came down the stairs, which those were scary enough because they were unfinished wooden stairs. They had like some kind of carpet on them, but like there were like if you were standing on them, somebody could have grabbed your ankles from underneath. Do you know what I mean? Like they weren't finished. They were just like wood stairs that went to the basement. And then when you got to the bottom of the stairs, to the left was the laundry room, which again was concrete and unfinished. And the other thing was, like, if you were in the laundry room, like, you couldn't really see, like, out of the laundry room. And my mom also had these two hanging cords that she always had stuff hanging on. So, like, somebody could be standing. I can remember, like, seeing Halloween for the very first time. You know the part where he's, like, standing, I don't know if this is in the edited version or not, but, like, when she looks out of her window and he's standing in her backyard, like, in the laundry. I can remember seeing that movie, like, at the very first time, and then, like, being in the basement, and my mom had, like, sheets hung off, like, the drying line, and I thought that, like, Michael Myers was in those sheets. Like, I can remember that from back in the day. So, and then in the corner of that room was probably like a 4x4 or 3x3 cut out hole in the wall that went into a crawl space, okay, in the middle of our house, like middle of the basement. So then if you went out into the main room, which is where I played, and I had like a house set up and school set up, and I also roller skated in the basement in the winter, and you went around to the corner, was where there was another room, and that room didn't have a light on it. Like, the rooms across the way had lights in them that you could flick on, and then the laundry room had a light, and then like most of the basement had a light, but like that room didn't have a light in it. So if you went in there, it was pitch black, and it also had like a hole to the crawl space. I can remember like friends that I had, like, well, when my friends Katie and Jesse moved in, like, we would dare each other to like look into the crawl space and stuff like that. It was just like whatever, sand, you know, or whatever, but we were like terrified of that crawl space. But here's the scariest thing, right? Was like one of the rooms at the very end had, it was double bolted, but it had a double bolted door that went out to the backyard. And the backyard was like 20 feet that went down. Like, it was like probably 5 feet across flat, and then 15 feet that went down to a creek bed. I mean, we had like an active creek and woods behind our house. So when you opened that door, you were literally looking right into an extremely dense woods. Like, dense. Like, you couldn't see through the woods. You could just, it was dense. So there was that door. And then in the main room, there was another double bolted door. But I've talked about this on here before. There were two windows that were probably 2 feet. I mean, they were like windows that you would have in your living room. They were like probably 2 feet off the floor, and you know, they were double paneled windows. And we had two of those. We had one next to one door, and then we had one on the other side of the room. That like, and we did not have an alarm system when I was growing up. My dad did not believe in alarm systems, so he never installed one in that house. My dad, well, now he feels differently, but he didn't believe in them back then, and he was just like, you know, we don't need an alarm system. Nobody's, which is so weird because that was at a time that people broke into houses, and somebody, at one point, the cat burglar of like Indianapolis that was like hitting all these homes on the north side, like it robbed all these houses on our street and ended up dumping a jewelry box at the end of our, what do you call it? At the end of our, in our driveway, right outside of where my mom would open the door every morning to put the dog, because we have like one of those long leashes that the dog would run on. And so she opened it one snowy morning, and somebody's jewelry box was sitting right there. I think with like a glove or something. And the person was being like, the police were trying to get them, and so they ran into the woods, and they got away too. They finally got caught on another one. But I remember that was like really, really scary. And my mom had to like go to court for that too, I think. So anyway, you know, I look back on that, and that's in the basement, right? Down by the woods. And like the house creaked anyway, because, I mean, it wasn't an old house. I mean, it was new, but we had like wood floors, and it was just like a drafty house, and like wind would just, you know, roll through. I mean, we were in the woods, so you'd always hear, you know, and stuff like that in the winter and whatever. You know, like, it's crazy to me now that, like, as a kid, I wasn't scared of I mean, I don't think I ever consciously thought, like, somebody could break through those windows down in the basement and we wouldn't even hear it. Now, at the top of the stairs, there was a wood door, and it had a double bolted lock on it. So, I mean, you couldn't have got through that either unless you, like, I don't know, you would have had to have like had a chainsaw or something. But I mean, but still, somebody could have got in the house. But I don't know that ever even occurred to me when I was a kid to be scared of that. Just crazy. Isn't that crazy that I didn't even think of that? Because I was scared about other stuff in that house. I was scared about like hiding places, and our library was scary to me that we had, because it was like, it had two sets of French doors. You could either go in one side or one side on the other. Our garage had an attic over it. So like when you walked into our garage, like you know, there was a side door that you could walk out, and right next to the side door was stairs that went all the way up to this attic. And I always just was like, when my mom and I would come home at night, I didn't know that somebody wasn't like hanging out in that attic. I used to, this is really interesting that I'm saying this, I used to have a lot of nightmares about that, I mean, as an adult, about that attic, about me parking like outside and trying to get in the house through that attic, and I knew, or through that garage. And like for some reason in my dreams, I would have like a garage door opener to get in through the garage door, and it would always be like rainy and wet and like blustery, windy, like in my nightmares. And I'd be trying to like get into the house, like in my dreams, I think it was like after my mom had died or something, and I had to like go do something with the house. But anyway, I would try to get in through the house or through the garage, and like when I would be in the garage, because like from the garage you walked right into like a mudroom area where you like, you know, took your shoes off and your coat and stuff like that. And that actually had a double bolted door on it too, going to the main part of the house. So you couldn't, like, my mom would lock that at night, so if somebody came in from the garage, they couldn't get from there to the house. We had a lot of double bolted things. Our front door was this thick. I mean, this thick wood. There was no way anybody was getting through that front door. But yeah, I just think back on that, like those windows down in the basement, I can't believe that those didn't scare me as a kid, you know? I mean, they looked right out into the woods. Anybody could have just walked in from the woods, and the woods like spanned like miles and miles and miles. Oh, weird that looking back on that. Caroline, probably about, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, the house was for sale. I don't know if he still lives there or not, but for a long time, a single doctor lived in the house. I think that too was selling it. But he had redone the entire house, and he had finished, I don't know if he finished the basement or if somebody else finished the basement, but they had finished the basement. It was beautiful. They did such a nice, because Caroline like sent me all the pictures and stuff for it. I told her, I said, the next time the house goes on the market, I want to go inside and see the house. Like, I want to go see that house one more time in my life. Because that house meant a lot to me. And they had like finished the basement. The basement was unbelievable. They had like a whole, like, one whole room was like, the main room down there was like this entertainment room with this huge TV and stuff. And then I actually think they glassed, or they sealed those windows over down there. But then where the kitchen is, like, so when you walk in from the first floor of the house, like in the front door on that side of the house, so the house sits on the side of a hill like this, so the house is like that, you know what I mean, on the side of a hill. So my dad's is exactly the same way. When you walk in through the front door, you're on the ground floor. But when you, like, if you walked straight from the front door, then right past the powder room, and then and past the what do you call it, the staircase, and then right into the kitchen. The kitchen is on the second floor. So the kitchen is on top of the basement looking down into the woods. And so off that back kitchen, which then is off like the dining room, the mud room, the office, the porch, all of that stuff, they built over the whole length of the back of the house a porch looking right into the woods. It's beautiful. They did a really nice job on the house. There was a really long line at McDonald's, but what else do I have to do, right? I think I want a cup of coffee. McDonald's is usually pretty fast, aren't they? I think so. Oh, they're already moving. Where's coffee? iced coffee. I don't want a frap. I just want a regular cup of coffee. What's just a regular coffee? I don't see it.
How may I help you?
Could I just get a cup of coffee?
What size?
Is it just small, medium, and large?
Yes.
Let me do a large coffee.
Do you want any cream or sugar?
No. Do you guys have bottles of water?
Yes.
And then a bottle of water, please. That's it.
$3.80.
Thank you.
Cool.
That's the cheapest large coffee and a bottle of water I've had in months. $3.80. That'll get you a grande coffee at Starbucks, and that's not a joke because I just went to Starbucks. Was it $2.80 or was it $3.80? No, a venti. Oh shoot. I don't have my wallet. Oh, my wallet's right here. I was like, I don't have my wallet because I just ordered. So I just ordered these jeans. I'll tell you guys about that story in just a second. But I was like, what happened to my wallet? But I went through Starbucks the other day to get a venti coffee, and I'm thinking about how I'm gonna edit the story about the jeans for you guys. So I went to Starbucks the other day and I got a venti coffee, and it was $3 exactly. Okay, so let me tell you the story about the jeans. This is kind of embarrassing. So I bought 2 pairs of jeans. I have black ones on now that I had before, okay? I love these Buffalo jeans. They're called Buffalo, and I get the slim ash, okay? Not because I'm slim, but because they're stretchy waist and like the whole material. Like, can you hear this? Like, I'm stretching it, pulling it. All the material is stretchy, like leggings, okay? But they're not skinny like skater jeans. They just look like regular jeans on me. But they're stretchy, so they're comfortable, right? And, so anyway, I had a blue pair, I had a black pair, and then I had a blue pair. Now, one of the things I have noticed about these jeans is that I don't know if it's from sitting in a car like this. I don't know what it's about, right? Alex thinks it's because I wash my jeans almost after every single time I wear them, which that might be true. I don't know, okay? All I know is no, they don't take the money here. All I know is that the crotch on these jeans rips out like within 6 months, okay? Like all of a sudden it's like the crotch is like frayed apart, and then within 2 or 3 days it's like you're completely exposed, right? Okay. So I bought, because I was down to just the black pair of jeans, I bought online, I think I probably talked about it at the time, 2 blue pairs of jeans. I bought like a really stiff pair, and they don't fit me very comfortably because they're a little tighter. They're a little, like the material is like the old school Wrangler jeans, you know what I'm talking about, but I wanted a pair of jeans like that because I really like that look, that kind of like old school vintage look. So I have a pair like that, and then I have another pair that are just like regular looking jeans, kind of like faded in areas, you know, and those are the ones that I've been wearing. Well, it just got cold. I just started wearing, where am I gonna put this other cup? Hold on. It just started getting cold outside, okay? I've been wearing shorts. How are you doing?
Doing just fine.
I forgot to wear my wedding band tonight. I take it off when I lay down. Thank you.
Water.
Thank you.
Coffee, take care.
Thank you, you too. I actually think that McDonald's coffee is really good. So I was coming home last night, and I was sitting in the driveway, and I was like finishing up the chapter of this book because I knew I was just finishing up this part because I knew that I only just had a couple like a minute or two left or something. I can't remember what I was finishing. Okay, so I was telling this story, and then I got into this whole thing about how I was like telling my friend about the story, and I said her name like twice. So anyway, I need to go back and tell the story. So this is what happened. Okay, so anyway, I don't know like at what point I started getting into the story, but I love buffalo jeans. I love them, right? But they always like fray in the crotch area, okay? And I will continue to wear buffalo jeans because I love buffalo jeans, but they fray, right? So, by the way, I also have my coffee now because I don't know if, I don't know at what point I said her name, so I'll have to go back and look. But anyway, so, but they fray, like, in the crotch, and so, I don't know why, okay? But anyway, like, Alex is convinced it's because I wash my jeans too much. Maybe that's what it's about. Do you know, I found this one brand of jeans, like, years ago, and it's like a really expensive pair of jeans. And you know, like, jeans are not to be washed like every time you wear them. Did you know that? Like, you're supposed to wash them like every 10th time you wear them or something like that. But anyway, it was this pair of jeans, and they were called something like 72 or 68 or something like that. I can't remember. And you were supposed to wear them like 68 times. And then like on, you know, like on the back, that like little area that, like that brown tab on the back of a pair of jeans that like says like Levi's or Jordache or whatever. Jordache, does anybody wear Jordache anymore? You know, on that part on there, that little brown tab on the back, you know, like they had it where it had like the number, it had like, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a line through it, and then you could like do that yourself until you had worn the jeans that many times. And that's when the jeans were supposed to be like perfect condition, was when you had worn them like 68 times or 72 times or something like that. But anyway, so, okay, this story has gotten way too long. I was sitting, so I got home last night, and I was sitting in the driveway, and I was listening to the end of this audiobook. Because I was just like almost at the end of some part or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so I was sitting there, and like I was pulling my jeans, like I pulled my jeans down by my legs, and then like I pulled them down like this, and then I like pulled them down by the crotch area, and because they're tight, like they're not skin tight, but they're tighter. And when I like was pulling down like the crotch area, like my thumb could feel skin, and I was like, what is going? And I like, so, and it was like on the top of my thigh, and it was really weird. It was like, so anyway, when I pulled them down, I don't know if they had just started fraying or what had happened, but like with my thumb like hooked into the inside of my jeans, I ripped a gash through these jeans, okay? The only pair of jeans that I have to wear comfortably right now, okay, other than the black pair that I have on right now, I ripped a gash, okay? Like a gash, right? Like, I mean, it's a huge gash, okay? I was like, oh my God, these are the only jeans I have. And here's the thing, they sell buffalo jeans at Macy's, but they only ever have like two to three styles. Like they'll have like, cause like Buffalo has like, I don't know how many different kinds of jeans. It's like Levi's, like they have like 10 different kinds of jeans or something like that, right? And they have like, these are called the Slim Ash. But then they have other ones that are called the straight something, and then they have, you know, the bootleg, I'm sure, like skinny vintage, all that. They have all these different kinds, right? I don't know what they're called. So anyway, so like I woke up this morning because I couldn't really tell last night in the dark like how bad it was. I looked at them this morning, I was just like, they're unwearable. Like these jeans are unwearable. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. All I've got now is these black pairs of jeans, and God forbid these split open. So I'm like going through my emails today, and I get so like many emails on a daily basis. I was just like, you know, and I was like looking through them and whatever. And I got an email from Buffalo Jeans. Are you ready for this? It was a 24-hour site-wide 40% off sale. It said, don't miss out on our I mean, that's almost 50% off. It was like, don't miss out on, I was like, this is a God thing. Don't miss out on our 40% off site-wide sale. And I was like, oh, this can't be, right? So I went there tonight after I woke up from my horrible nightmare before I left, because I was like, I only have like 4 hours left to buy these jeans. And so I went over there, and all of their slim ash jeans are on sale. I mean, they were marked down from like 109 to like 59, which is still expensive, but I was gonna say they last a while. They don't really last a while, but I do love them as long as they do last. So I bought 3 pairs of these jeans because I was like, I've got to have some jeans for fall and winter. Like, hopefully they'll last a little bit longer. I don't know what the deal is with those jeans. What happened? I mean, they always rip at some point, but like first of all, they don't ever rip like that. And they don't ever rip that quickly. I've never had them rip like within 2 months of having them. I don't understand. I should probably write to Buffalo, shouldn't I, and say, you know what? This coffee is the perfect temperature. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. I still like Dunkin' Donuts coffee. What I was gonna say is I should write to Buffalo and be like, your jeans ripped. Does anybody else complain about this? Has anybody else had that happen with their jeans? Like, just let me know in the comment section below. What I was gonna say is I still like Dunkin' Donuts coffee better. This tastes a little, what is in there? Do I have something underneath the cup? It's a little acidy. It's not bad, but it's a little acidy. I have been just drinking black coffee lately. I haven't been putting anything in it, which I really like. But it really makes me appreciate the taste of the coffee more than I used to back in the day. Because back in the day, you know, it was like, in all honesty, if you put like 2 sweet and low or 2 extra or whatever that's called, I can't remember what the sugar substitute is I use, into a cup of coffee, all cups of coffee kind of taste the same after a while. It's like if you put creamer in your coffee, at some point, all the cups of coffee kind of taste the same. You know what I mean? Like, they all taste like the creamer. Whereas, I mean, not all. I mean, they always taste a little bit different. When we went to Patachou today, which I was kind of disappointed in my omelet today that I was just talking about, because I was so excited about that omelet, and it just didn't taste the same. I don't know why. It had so many potatoes in it, for one thing. But it just didn't taste the same as it did last week. And I had, well, they had the coffee that they have. They usually always have a flavored coffee, like blueberry crumble. That's my favorite. Sarah's favorite from there is coconut. Or other things. But, like, I love their caramel that they have there. They have I think they have a banana nut, maybe. That's really good. They have different flavored ones. So usually on Sundays they have a flavored one. And I honestly thought, like, before Halloween they would have like a pumpkin spice or something. Highlander grog today. I was like, how is this really any different than they have a Patachou blend. They have like a Patachou regular and a Patachou. Look at all those pumpkins right there. They have like a Patachou blend and then like a Patachou decaf. The Patachou blend decaf, which Alex always gets the Patachou blend. And it's just like a regular house coffee. But anyway, he had his turkey chili today, and he got so full. Did he get a bowl or a cup? He got a bowl, and he got really full really quick. He's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so full already. They brought him an extra bowl of cheese and an extra bowl of croutons, and then he had a cup of coffee. Oh no! And then he also had his Cuban breakfast. And then I had the omelet you can't refuse, which is bacon, white cheddar, sour cream, and potatoes. So I have them take out the bacon, because I don't eat bacon because I'm a vegetarian. And then I had them also add Gouda cheese, red onions, and horseradish sauce, which I hardly even tasted this time. It's actually not horseradish sauce. It's actually like horseradish, because I asked for a side of it because I wanted to dip my potatoes in it, thinking that it would be creamy like the horsey sauce at Arby's. I don't know why I thought it was like that. Because I think it was because last week the omelet was like real creamy, but it's actually like ground horseradish that's in the omelet, which is, I know I'm an idiot for thinking that, but you know. So anyway, so I had that. It was good, fine. It just wasn't as good as it usually is. And then I couldn't taste like all the cheese. Like last week, it seemed like I could really taste the cheeses and the horseradish together. And there just were tons of potatoes in there this week. And then I also got crispy potatoes on the side, and it was half the plate. Like I didn't even finish hardly any of them. I took like half of them home with me. And then I got an everything bagel toasted with cream cheese, and I only ate half the bagel. I took the other half home with me, and I haven't eaten it. And I wanted an orange juice, and I didn't get an orange juice today. At the end of lunch. We were the only ones in there at the very end. They were so nice. I came over, and they said, "Take your time. We've got so much stuff to do." And we were like, "Okay." We didn't get there too late today either. We got there about 40 minutes before they closed, or half an hour before. We usually get there half an hour before we close, but we like get in there, eat, and we're out. Like usually before the last people that are out there, even though the other people have been there for 2 hours, you know. But anyway, I looked at Alex and I said, "I didn't get my glass of orange juice. I really wanted an orange juice. I forgot to order it." He was like, "Oh, well." He didn't care. And then after that, so he came home. He wanted to watch some TV shows. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to like drive around and call some people. I wanted to call Caroline, my cousin, and I did, but she didn't answer. She's probably watching football or something. Like she and her stepson and wife, like they watch, and her husband, and Caroline's husband, they watch football, and her son. I don't know if that's on Monday nights usually though, or Sunday afternoons, or I think it's Sunday afternoons too, but if she's not doing like an open house or something, showing, you know, because she shows houses, so like as an open house. Are people doing open houses anymore? Maybe, I don't know if she even does that anymore. She did way back in the day, because I remember like going to visit her at some open house, and I loved the house. It was in this area called Bridgewater, that's in Carmel, and it's beautiful. It's like Carmel right before you get to Westfield. It's all on this golf course, the Bridgewater golf course. It's a gorgeous area. But anyway, and who else did I talk to? I talked to Mel for a long time. We talked for like 40 minutes on the phone, but I talked to somebody else too. I can't remember who. Maybe I didn't talk to somebody else. Well, I called a friend, recovery friend, left a message for her. I talked to Tanya later. Did I just talk to Mel? I feel like I called somebody else. I don't know. But anyway, Mel and I like caught up and talked forever, and that was fun. And then we were talking about her at some point coming out here. Or we didn't talk about me going back out there, but I am planning on going back out there at some point. I need to just figure out when I'm going to do that. I really wanted to do it at a time that it would be warm, so I could get a place with a pool. So, I don't know, maybe I'll look at next March. Well, we're going to Ultra next March. So, I don't know, maybe after I get back from there, I could go out there for a weekend or something. We'll see. But I do want to go back out there and see her. I had so much fun on that weekend. We had such a blast. And then I listened to my audiobook for a long time, because I was like, I'm really into this audiobook. It's called The Shadows. Did I already talk about this on here? So I just finished The Whisper Man by Alex North, and then, I was reading, I don't think I've talked about this tonight, I did, yeah, kind of. Well, in relation to my nightmare. But I just finished Paul Tremblay's Head Full of Ghosts. I'm like reading like a book every 2 days now. Every day and a half. Or listening to one. Head Full of Ghosts, by the way, was strangely terrifying, but I would highly recommend it. He's just such a phenomenal author. Like, his stuff is super scary, but like not in like a conventional way that you would think it was scary. If you like the Exorcist kind of stuff, then you would love Head Full of Ghosts, because it's about a teenage girl and a possession, a reality show that is built around this family and this, I mean, it's just, I mean, it is an unbelievable story. Like, I just am like, I like got done listening to it and I was like, I need to listen to something right away. Like, I needed to turn something else right away on, because like it just was a lot. The end, I just was like, oh my God. And it's very rare that a book like that really scares me on that level. It really did. And then I had read The Whisper Man before that, and The Whisper Man was by Alex North, and it was the one about abductions. And so he had a new book that came out, I think it may have came out this year, and it's called The Shadows, which refers to this wooded area. And so I didn't know this when I downloaded the book, but it's with the same police detective that's in the first one, this Amanda Beck. And so it takes place in this small town in England called Groton, I think, or something like that. But it's this small town that's surrounded by these woods. It's very dark and scary and all of that, you know? And she's the police, like, I don't know if she's the police chief or she's just a detective or what she is on there. They don't call them that in the UK. What do they call them? DC? I don't know. I don't even remember what that stands for, but they call them DC something. Like here we would say like we wouldn't say police Smith, you would say Detective Smith. And there they say DC, which I can't remember what it stands for, but I've read enough like English mystery books that I should know that by now. But anyway, so somebody that knows that or is from the UK, please leave that in the comment section below and educate me. But this one is about this guy. It's really weird because it kind of hits home with me a little bit. You know what? This is probably, well, I don't know. So it's about this guy, and so he was 15 when it happened, and it's 25 years later. So what is that? I'm so bad with math. 20, would have been 20, so 40, he's 40. And his mom is in hospice, dying of cancer, and she had dementia, and she fell down the stairs. Well, she was at home alone, and he's an only child, and like his dad died like 7 years before, and he didn't have a good relationship with him. And he's a college creative writing professor, and really sweet, kind of genuine, down-to-earth guy. And which the other one in the other book was too. He was just like a really like nice guy. Oh my God, I have to tell you the weirdest thing though, okay? Like, this isn't gonna ruin anything for anybody, but I love when people do this kind of stuff. So when I was finishing Paul Tremblay's book, and Paul Tremblay is a horror writer, right? He must be, so I had just finished that Hard as a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. So they must be friends or something. I don't know. I'll have to look it up and see. But Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay had a lot of cultural references to different things in there, like movies and books and all this kind of stuff. So the little girl who the whole book is, she's telling the story about her older sister. So she's telling it as an adult looking back. And so at the end of the book, she can't go back to school because of all this stuff that happens, and so her family hires a tutor for her. And she's like, do you remember the tutor, what he was like? And she was like, I don't remember anything about him, but I remember that his name was Stephen Graham Jones, or because I would just say it over and over and over again because I thought it just rolled off my tongue. And the woman, the the author that is interviewing her for this book she's writing, she goes, Stephen Graham Jones, Stephen Graham Jones, Stephen Graham Jones. That does roll off your tongue. And she said, see, I can't get it out of my head. And she's like, what do you remember of him? And she says, he was just this nerdy guy with these little round glasses and bad skin or something like that. And he was horrible at math. And so I'm like, is this like poking fun at like another author in the book? Because there is no way when these are like two leading horror novelists within the same genre that they don't know each other, and that he would just come up with the name Stephen Graham Jones out of anywhere to make it Tudor. So I like love that kind of stuff in books. I just think it's genius. But anyway, what was I gonna say? I don't even know. I lost train of thought. Oh, so anyway, so in the first one, the book, it's about that I read, The Whisper Man. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, because if you like scary books, you would love it. It's a great mystery thriller. It's not a horror novel, really. It's a mystery thriller. They both are. But really well done. Like, on the level of, like, Paula Hawkins' Girl on the Train, but better than that, almost, kind of, now. And, it reminds me kind of of Kate Hamer, The Girl in the Red Coat, a little bit, but not as weird as that book. God, I loved that book. That book was so good. But anyway, so the first one was about a dad whose the wife and mother had died of cancer. And so he was raising his son, and they moved to this new town to get away from the house that the mother had died in. And so that's how they ended up in this town. And he was like just a genuinely really good guy. Like, really great dad, really great husband. And you know, like, there's not a lot of that representation in novels when you read them. And so I loved that. I can tell you, the Head Full of Ghosts, the dad is not that, okay? The dad is not that in Head Full of Ghosts. He appears to be that for a while, but... So anyway, so that guy's like really nice. Well, in this book, it's about this guy, and he comes home after 25 years because his mom is in hospice and she's dying. Like, she only has like a couple days. And so he's staying at his childhood home, and he's part of what happened. And you know that from when the book opens, because when the book opens, it's him getting taken to the police department when he's 15. So, like, you know right out of the gate. Which is another thing that I love about Stephen Graham Jones, or not Stephen Graham Jones, is another thing that I love about, my God, that pickup truck came out of nowhere. My God, that scared the hell out of me. About Alex North, is that he just gets right into the mystery, you know, like right away. And he's like, so anyway, so it's about this guy, and he comes home after 25 years to... He left, like, after he graduated and everything, but, like, this really horrible thing happened to his friend, but you don't really know what it is. It's kind of building up to it, but at the same time, as this story is unfolding over here, and he's telling you, like, what happened in the past, at the same time that that's happening, this Amanda, unbeknownst to him, in the same town and in the same area that this other thing happened, this Amanda Beck, who was the police detective from the first book, she is investigating this case that just happened that is mirroring the case that he's telling you about, but 25 years later. And it's so well done, and it's so weird and scary. And I'm like 2 hours into the book, and I have no idea where it's going. And I'm like so scared and just kind of like, what is going on here? It's really well done. It's really captivating, and I just want to sit here and listen to the whole thing tonight. Surprise! But I will say this, after this week is done, I am ready to read cozy mysteries. I said that to Mel today. She goes, surprise! She goes, I don't think anybody will be surprised by that. I said, Mel, listen. I said, I might just read all cozy mysteries for November and December. She goes, I don't think anybody would be surprised by that. I said, you are not being very nice to me, Mel. Anyway, she was just joking though. So, but I might, because this is really taking a toll on me. But these books are good. They're really good. I think when I'm done with this I think Alex North only has 2 books out. If not, I'll read another one of his. I'll download it this week and read it, because I love his stuff. I don't know that I want to read Stephen Graham Jones anymore. I don't know if I really care to read him. That Stephanie Perkins book, oh my god, it was so bad. I gave it 1 star. It was horrible. I almost didn't even finish it. But I will say this was weird about that Stephanie Perkins book. They talked about serial killers in there, and they talked about Israel Keys, who is somebody that we read in the book club. We read the book American Predator, which was about Israel Keys. I mean, he's like not a super well-known serial. I mean, he's well-known, like the top 30 serial killers, but not like, I don't feel like people talk about him all the time, even though I found him to be one of the most fascinating. Like that whole thing to me of him having killed kids, built, you know, buried all over the country and stuff, just like the way. And he was also like one of the first bionic serial killers because he was having his body surgically transformed to be basically like the perfect serial killer. He was having his fingerprints removed. I think that was his next plan. He also had gastric bypass surgery so that he could go several days, something, the balloon or whatever, I don't know. He went to Mexico to have that, so he could go several days without eating. So when he was on these like killing sprees, he didn't have to eat for several days, or he could eat very little and be fine. Which is so weird to think that somebody thought that way, you know? But they talked a lot about that. He also found his victims online. That was the other thing. And they talked a lot in the book about, like, he was the very first one that, like, found victims online. I can't remember how he did it. I think it was almost like there was one that was, like, through Facebook or something, maybe. I can't remember how he found it, but there was something about that in the book, I remember. So they referenced that. But then she started talking about the 2 girls that were killed because they're in the woods and they're hiking in the book. The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. It's such a bad book, you guys. It's so bad. And at the beginning of it, she's like, well, I mean, anybody could get us. And she's like, those 2 girls that were just out for a hike during the day in a beautiful park in Indiana, they were both killed. And I'm like, oh, she's talking about Delphi. Oh, beautiful park. I don't know about all that. That area has always and still does looks very scary to me with that bridge. I can't believe people walk over that bridge. First of all, I would never walk over that bridge. You couldn't get me on that thing. But I'm sure if you were a kid, it wouldn't seem scary. I don't know. I was just talking to Mel about this today. Like, there is like this unhidden rule in Indiana. And you know what? The last time I said this in a video, someone else commented on it and said something like, I'm from Indiana too. And yes, that's very true. Like, whenever you start talking about Delphi here, people shut up real quick. It's like you don't talk about it. It's kind of like there's some unhidden rule about it or whatever. But like everybody kind of knows that. I don't even want to say, but it's like everybody kind of knows that like the family or law enforcement or something is like in on it, and they know something that they're not telling anybody, but nobody talks about it. And they caught this guy, and I do not believe that that person is responsible for it. I just don't. I think there's a lot more to it than that. And they've held on to all this evidence, and they have more phone footage and stuff from the girl's phone. So if you don't know the case, it's about these 2 girls that went hiking for the day in Delphi, Indiana, and then they went missing, and then they were found dead. They were found murdered. But to this day, they've never released how they were murdered. Well, they caught the guy, supposedly. They arrested somebody, a suspect. So why can't you release how they were killed? We still don't know to this day how they were killed. Which I feel like isn't that public record. But the police chief in charge of it will not release any of that information. Plus, there's all kinds of evidence surrounding the case that he still has not released to this day. Oh my god, that house has so many scary things on it. That's cool. There's so much surrounding the case that he still hasn't released to this day. And so she had video footage of this guy on her phone, and it's real famous because he's saying something to them, and then he says down the hill to the girls, down the hill. In fact, there was a podcast, I believe the podcast was called Down the Hill, because they turned the podcast into like a 2-part documentary series, which I ended up watching, and it was done well, and it interviewed like the sister of the one girl and the family members and stuff like that. It's tragic, it's horribly sad, but I don't know. The whole thing is very scary to me. I don't think they have the right person. I think they know that. And I don't know why, if they do, they're not releasing more information about the case. And I don't know, it's scary. I've always had a really bad feeling about that case, that it stopped just as I was saying that. I've always had a really bad feeling about that case, that something like that was gonna happen again in that area. Which then, how do you have the right person if that happens? We'll see, I guess. I hope it doesn't. That would be horrible. We have a couple things like that in Indiana that are, you know, like really tragic and stuff. That Lauren Spurrier case is like another one. I actually messaged Stephanie Harlow, because remember the night that I was talking about it on here? And Stephanie Harlow and Derek from Big Brother, I really liked their podcast together, but they had done like a 2-part segment on Lauren Spurrier, because it was like the 10-year anniversary of her going missing. And so I watched it. They did a really good job of it. Some of it was kind of funny to me, because it was like obvious. I mean, if you live in Indiana, you know Indiana University and what it's famous for and stuff like that. And it is a party school. I mean, it's not that it's not a party school, but it's also known as like one of the best schools in the country. You know, it has like the Kelly School of Business, and like the music school at IU is like super well known, and it's just a really well known school. And so anyway, like in Indiana, like if you live in Indiana, in-state, you cannot get into Indiana University below a 3.6. I would venture to bet, that's what I heard, last that I heard, that you have to have like a 3.6, 3.7 average cumulative GPA to get into, which maybe you guys don't think that's that great, but for me, I wasn't getting in there, you know. But you have to have that to get into IU with pretty good like ACT or SAT scores too. And you have to be involved in other stuff, because they get a lot of out-of-state kids as well. It's not just like, you know, you apply and you get in because you're in-state. It's not like that at all. And the campus, this is the other thing, the campus in Bloomington is beautiful. I mean, it is literally like, it looks like an Ivy League campus. It's gorgeous. Bloomington, Indiana is one of the prettiest cities I've ever been to in my life. I mean, it literally looks like fall. I mean, it's just gorgeous. And it has Lake Monroe there, which is where John Mellencamp lives and stuff like that. But anyway, in the podcast at the beginning of it, they're kind of like explaining Indiana University, because she was a student there. And they were talking about what a party school it is, which is really interesting, because in Indiana, like Ball State has a huge reputation for being a party school. And I think it's like, for a long time, Ball State was like on the 10 top party schools in the United States, but like you don't really hear in Indiana about it being, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, people party, and people party hard at IU, and we know that, right? Like, go Hoosiers. But like, if you said to most people, like, which do you think is a bigger partier school, Ball State or IU? I think people would probably say Ball State. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. It just seems like IU is kind of associated more with people like being very academically minded. I think they're both probably considered pretty big party schools, but they talked a lot about that on there. So anyway, the other thing that's interesting, and they kind of talked about this in the documentary, is that I would say like this just has happened in the last 15, 20 years, but IU has gotten like a lot of big money. Well, I guess not. Like when my mom was in college, like her roommate in college was from Scarsdale, New York. Is it Scarsdale, New York? Pennsylvania? Scarsdale. Anyway, and her dad was CEO of a company. This was my mom's roommate in college, her freshman year. If I told you the last name, I mean, it's synonymous with like a major brand. And her dad was a CEO. My mom said that she went home with her for Thanksgiving and she couldn't even believe their house was like a compound. She couldn't even believe it. So anyway, I guess they've always kind of like got big name people out of there, but like I know that there's like a lot of money at IU. So the thing that I always heard with the Lawrence Barrier case, like kind of known fact from people that were students at the time in Bloomington, and a couple people commented on my video last time and they said this. I kind of was beating around the bush because it's another case that like you don't talk on, right? But like what I always heard through the rumor mill of people that I knew at the time that were students there through like meetings and stuff, that they said they were like all partying and something happened, and these people she was partying with came from big money and they lawyered up. That's what I heard. I don't know. And that supposedly they'll never find her is what they said or something. So I actually messaged Stephanie Harlow after that podcast. She messaged me back. She was really sweet. We've talked a couple times. And yeah, so anyway. And I just was like, these are the different theories that you kind of hear like through the grapevine in Indiana, you know, because I wanted her to know like firsthand, like here in Indiana. Like, nobody in Indiana believes that they got the right person in Delphi. Nobody. Like, nobody's buying that story here in Indiana. And the thing that's really weird about it is, I mean, we're like an hour and a half from Delphi. I could get on the interstate right now and be there in the time that it would take me to vlog, right? Don't ask me to do that because that's too scary. And I really do not want to be involved in that case whatsoever, other than just having an opinion, like saying, like, I don't think they really caught the right person. It's small town Indiana, it's Midwest. And here's the thing about small town Indiana that's kind of scary, is that, you know, there's the whole idea of like the cozy mysteries and front porches and leaving your doors unlocked and all of that. And that's true. And that is parts of small town Indiana. But the other part of that is meth manufacturers, heavy drug dealing, lots of really scary stuff that goes on behind the scenes in these small towns, because the reality is Indiana doesn't really have that many major towns. It has like Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, South Bend, Valparaiso. It just, southern Indiana has, you know, a couple cities. Bloomington, but Bloomington's not, it's a small city. I mean, it doesn't have big cities, right? So what Indiana is all of these small towns where there's like a lot of like corruption and like just scary stuff goes on. Oh, the battery is dying. There's just a lot of scary stuff that goes on in Indiana. And yeah, so, and I know that because I've had so many friends. My ex was from a really small town. He was from a super small town, and his old roommates, who I'm still really good friends with today, they still live in Seymour. He was from Seymour, which is Jackson County. You know, they would tell me stories all the time about stuff. And in fact, when I was dating him, this was like the first year or two, this happened in the same county. This little girl was going from like her mom's house to her dad's house, and she had to cross this creek or something. I can't remember how the story went. She was like a 6-year-old. She got murdered. And it came out that it was like, she was transporting, like she didn't know it, but she was transporting like methamphetamine. It's just like crazy stuff, you guys. Like Twin Peaks kind of weird stuff. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I was texting Alex. We were joking with each other. I sent him this video that I filmed of Tucker and Boo earlier, and so he like watched it and then sent me a thing back saying he loved it. Anyway, I mean, yeah, there's always like scary stuff that happens in small town Indiana. I'm sure small town everywhere, but it's like you don't even hear about some of these, like, I don't know, just some of it's like really scary. Indiana was like really, really known for being like meth central for a long time too. It's like hot in this car. Drink some of this water. I should have brought my water bottle and I totally forgot. This is like the first bottle of water I bought in a while. Like in my head, like trying to think of like other things that have happened here that were scary. Well, and like I said this before with like Israel Keys, they thought he might have something to do with that Lawrence Barrier thing. Sadly enough, I don't think they'll ever find her, and I don't think they'll ever find out what happened with that situation. I think it's really devastatingly sad. Tragic. I haven't been listening to my true crime podcasts as much lately. I was listening to that one called Paper Ghosts Burned or something, but I didn't like. I don't know. It was good at first, and then I kind of got like started getting bored of it. And I kind of go back and forth between like wanting to listen to those podcasts and then wanting to listen to like audiobooks and stuff. So I was like, well, I'll take a break for a little while. There was like 2 days that I listened to like the podcast and I didn't listen to books. And then I missed the books, so I went back to listening to the books again instead of podcasts. I think I've read like 12 books this month, which is crazy to me. And one of them was that House of Gucci that was like 18 hours long. I was actually looking at The Stand, and The Stand is like 48 hours long, but if I listened to it at 2x5 speed, I could finish it in 18 hours, which if I listened to an hour or two a day, I could have that done in like a week and a half, but I just don't know that I want to dedicate a week and a half to listening to The Stand. I don't know that I care that much. Has anybody read The Stand? Is it like really like, I mean, every person that I've ever talked to that read The Stand like swore that they loved it, and it was like fantastic. This book that I'm like reading right now, like he meets this girl when he's in high school. He likes to read. Like that's one of the reasons why he and his dad don't get along, is because his dad makes fun of him for reading or something. But like he loves to read, and this girl that he meets in school that he later sees, he just saw her again like when he came home. It's like I'm right at the beginning of the book kind of, but I mean I'm 2 hours into it, so they're just kind of laying the foundation. But when they meet, they're like talking, and he's like, what's your favorite book or something, and I can't remember what. Anyway, he says, have you ever read The Stand? And she's like, yeah, and he doesn't believe her. And he said, have you read any other Stephen King? She's like, what's your favorite Stephen King? And he says Pet Sematary, and she was like, oh really? The ending is horrible or something like that, and it's terrible ending or something. And then he's like, have you read any other Stephen King? And she's like, I've read everything. He's like, you've read every Stephen King book? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, how are you, and maybe, I don't know, but how are you 17 years old and you've read every Stephen King book? I mean, Stephen King has, I guess this would have been 25 years ago, but like, Stephen King has so many books out, right? Like, even 25 years ago, he had a lot of books out. So many books out, and they're all like massive. They're all, I don't know how he writes. He must just sit and like, he must write 200 pages a day or something. I mean, he just writes these massive books. I think that's part of it for me. It's like, I have to know before I am going to invest that much time and energy into a book that it's going to be like a really good book, you know? Like, next month for Peter's book club, I picked Apples May Fall by Liam O'Yeardy, but Tanya told me, she was like, it's really good. I said, is it a mystery? She's like, yeah, it's a mystery. She's like, it's really good. And if she like, and she's pretty honest about her books with me, and like the books that we don't always agree, but typically we do. on books. So, I mean, if I didn't think that I would like it, I would have not invested 18 hours is a long book. I have a couple books that are between like 18 and 20 something hours that I've like wanted to read, but I tried so hard, Helter Skelter. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to read that book. I can't get into it. It's not that great of a book, honestly. It was scary to me when I first started reading it. Like, I first started reading it sitting outside, and it was like, I read it I think I read it like in June or something, and I was going to read it over the course of a summer. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was the long book that I was going to do over the course of a summer. And I think I only ever got like 51 pages into it, 51 or 81. It was 51 or 81 pages into it. And I can remember starting to read that book when the maid goes in the house and she discovers the bodies. And as I was reading it, like leaves were blowing down the street outside, like while I was sitting outside. And I was reading it at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was terrified. I was like, okay, I'm done with this book. I'm going inside. But other than that, like the more I got into it, I don't remember like the last time I was listening to it on Audible the last time. Maybe I'll try it again. But I just was not. I think I always wanted to read it because. So Tanya, my friend Tanya, has always been a voracious reader. She's always like read tons and tons and tons. Like, she reads like a book a day. Like, in all honesty, she literally sometimes reads like 2 to 3 books a day. And I don't even know how she finds the time for it. And Alex is texting me something, I don't know what. But anyway, so she had told me a story that like Tanya was like, she never got in trouble when she was growing up, and she said the only time that she would get in trouble is that she would stay up late and she would read, and she would read with like a flashlight. And she said somehow she got the book Helter Skelter, and she said she was terrified when she was reading that book, and she was like 17 or 18 when she was reading that book. Well, I mean, at 18 she wouldn't have gotten in trouble for reading a book, but so it must have been 17. She was like late high school, and she said she was terrified of like reading that book. She was so scared. She didn't get in trouble for reading books. She got in trouble for staying up late. That's why she got in trouble, for staying up late when like she was supposed to be asleep for school the next day. That kind of thing. She must have been younger then. It must have been like 14 or something, maybe, when I don't remember how old she said she was. I don't remember the story. I just remember the image. God, it was so long ago she told me that. I just remember the image of Tanya underneath, the blanket with a flashlight reading Helter Skelter. And I always thought, if it's that scary, I've got to read it, But I just honestly, I've like not been able to ever get into it. Do you know what's so funny is I have this memory of this babysitter that I had in high school, and I remember when she was reading, this must have been like real popular at the time that it came out. I remember she was reading Christina Crawford's book, Mommy Dearest. I think it like had just been made into a movie or something. The infamous movie with Faye Dunaway. But I can see the book on my island, like the paperback. I remember when I was in high school, I read this book, talk about true crime. It was about, this is before I even really knew that I was like really into true crime. But I did love anything to do with old Hollywood. And I read this book, I think it was by her daughter, by Lana Turner's daughter. Well, so when I was growing up, I was kind of obsessed with, what's her name? Jane Mansfield, who ended up getting decapitated, or something happened with her head. I can't remember, but do you guys know what I'm talking about? They did a made-for-TV movie, and it was with Lonnie Anderson. I was obsessed with that movie. I loved it, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it, and he played her husband or boyfriend or whatever. I loved anything to do with Jane Mansfield. I saw the made-for-TV movie, and then I was obsessed with her. So anyway, and like watching old movies with my mom, and just like my mom talking about the costumes and stuff. I was always kind of obsessed with old Hollywood, so I always wanted to read about anything to do with old Hollywood. And I remember reading this book, and I remember it was called Detour. I think it was called like Detour or Wrong Detour or something like that. And it was by Lana Turner's daughter, I believe. And it was about how she killed her mom's boyfriend. But it was like self-defense or something because he was like attacking her mom, or I can't remember. But like I remember reading that book back in the day. And I can remember, like, I read it in high school because I can remember, like, not being able to stop talking to my friends about how good that book was. We used to, like, my friends and I passed books around like nobody's business. My one friend, we would go thrift store shopping, and, like, all of us she would get clothes, too. But I remember she would stand there at, like, where the paperbacks were. Because, you know, like, thrift stores, like, paperbacks, well, they're more expensive today. But, like, back in the day, they were, like, 10 cents, 5 cents for a paperback. And she would get these paperbacks that were just like horrifically, they were like horrible, horrible books. Like nobody would want to read these books, right? And she would just like go through every bookshelf until she found like the worst looking book. And I remember she got this book and we all passed it around, and it was like real sexual. And it was called Groupie, and it was about this girl. I should look it up and see if they still have it. I should look it up and see if they have it and read it again. All these years later. And it was about this girl that was a groupie, like for some band. I'll tell you another book that we read, and I actually found it and bought it off of Amazon. I have it at home, and it's called Amethyst. And it's very much kind of like a la Lace. Did you ever read Lace? Oh my God. By Shirley Conrad, is that her name? I loved her back in the day. Shirley Conrad wrote Lace and Lace 2, I believe. And it was about 3 girls that went to a boarding school, and one of them had a baby, and then you never knew who the mom was till the very end. Phoebe Cates played the daughter, and she was like a famous porn star. She played the daughter in a made-for-TV movie. It was, I don't know that I ever read the book, but I did read the book that it's Conran, I think. She wrote a book about these wives of these executives. They go to this island where there's like this convention or something their husbands are having, and they like rented out part of the island. But anyway, the husbands get taken away, and the women are left to like fend for themselves, and they're basically, it's called Savages. Oh, it's called Savages. It was so good. I read that back in the day. I think it's out of print now because I looked not too long ago. But I found this book called, it's by Rosamund somebody, and it's not Rosamund Pilcher, but she's like another romance kind of writer. But it was called Amethyst, and it was very similar to that. It was like this rich family and like what had happened to them over the course of like 100 years or whatever. And like we were like obsessed with that book. Like we each thought we were like a character in that book, and we would say like talk to each other, and like in school we would like call each other like the names from the book, and it was like this inside secret with all of us and stuff. Isn't that so funny? Whenever I talk about the groupie book, people always think I'm talking about the book I'm With the Band by Pamela DeBar. It's not that book. This is a fiction book called Groupie. I'll pull in here and I'll look and see if I can find it. There's no way I'll be able to find it though. This book was so bad. I mean, it was literally like, it was a horrible book. Like there was no merit to this book whatsoever. But she would always find these books, and she'd just sit there for like hours and just like, she'd read it like in a day and then be like, oh my God, you guys have to read this book. This book is so good. And we would just read it because we thought it was so good. I remember, oh, this is another thing that happened in Indiana. Let me pull in here really quick actually and see if I can find this book, and then I'll tell you the other thing that happened in Indiana. I totally forgot about that case. Oh, they're all out now. But, the people that did it. Okay, let me get my reading glasses out really quick. What did my husband say to me? Oh, he said, love you. Okay. Book Groupie 1980. There's no way it's gonna pull up. Here's I'm With the Band by Pamela DeBar. I have a feeling this is it, though. Right here on Amazon. This can't be it. Groupie. Only 3 left in stock. Who is this written by? What's the author's name? Doesn't even say the author. How can you not even see? A novel by Jenny Fabian and Johnny Byrne. Fabian and Byrne's story of 19-year-old Katie and her unswerving commitment. This is it. I can't believe I found it. Commitment to sex, drugs, and rock and roll now takes its rightful place as a key novel of the 60s. When Groupie was first published in 1969, it caused a sensation. The swinging 60s capacity to outrage may have been starting to decline, but this novel managed to shock all over again. A thinly fictionalized chronicle of Jenny Fabian's adventures with underground rock heroes of her day, Groupie caused a furor for all kinds of reasons. It had the scent of danger that accompanies an authentic original. It ruffled feathers with its matter-of-fact descriptions of drug taking and sexual hijinks. It prompted guessing games about the true identities of its principal characters. Most of all, it was highly explicitly about a phenomenon that had never before been documented. Decades later, this book is still extraordinarily fresh, and playing the celebrity guessing game is still fun. Groupie is also the genuine article. No reconstruction of 60s underground rock culture has ever captured the zeitgeist as well as this novel. 226 pages. Should I buy it? It's $12.99 for paper. Oh, you can get it on Kindle. It's on Kindle, you guys. That's hilarious. Is it on Kindle? It is on Kindle, you guys. Groupie by Fabian Byrne. Fabian Byrne. I don't know if I should order it or not. You know what I haven't done? I haven't read comments on here in a while. Let me do that really quick. Mr. Thunderbolt said, if Tanya is going as Dolly Parton, you could be Kenny Rogers. I thought of that. I asked Tanya what she thought I should be, and she said Johnny Cash. And I go, well, what do I wear? And she goes, all black and a cowboy hat and boots. I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to be something a little bit more ingenious than that. Heather said, you depend on us, but we so depend on you. These videos and the love you put into these will be such a huge part of your legacy. I honestly feel like you're my family. Aww. My friend, my mentor, my best Judy. I just love you so much, Peter. I remember trying to call you Pete in the comments and finding out the very next day the way you didn't like that. LOL. Lesson learned. I don't mind it. I just don't feel like a Pete. You know, I will tell you, my dad calls me Pete. Tanya calls me Pete every once in a while. My mom, she would every once in a blue moon, but she never really called me Pete. My dad and my stepmom call me Pete, always. Always, always, always. And so my dad's side of the family, they always call me Pete. But other than that, the only time it really, is when, this is gonna sound crazy, is when, straight men that don't know me very well, to, get, comfortable, they'll, call me Pete, to just be you know how it is, but... Sarah said, hello, Peter. This past week was rough and very sad, but the vlogs have helped me stay more. Aww. Well, I hope that you have a better week, Sarah. Joe Mama said, hi, Peter. Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers or Porter Wagner? Because nobody's going to know who Porter Wagner is. Let's just be for real, okay? I don't even know how I would go with Porter Wagner, except for his sad hairdo that he used to have back in the... If you guys know who Porter Wagner is, okay? It's how Dolly Parton basically got famous. It's who she sang with back in the day. Dance You Won said, I read Salem's Lot on summer break in college. I was going through some insomnia and scared the ever-living crap out of myself. Oh, okay, well, I will read it. Peyton said, I think you should read the Graveyard Book. I love that one, and Neil Gaiman in general. So there's an all cast, there's several people that they acted out in the audiobook. I might listen to that one. You should be. Sierra Bear said, you should be Billy Ray Cyrus in his prime leather vest. Nothing. No, I won't be wearing nothing underneath it. Mr. Thunderbolt said, Peter, oh my, you mentioned me twice indirectly. So honored. Glad I finally got the picture of Tucker right. And you saw my porch pictures. Oh, love it. That made mine. Oh, thank you so much. Troy said, Peter, if you need to take a week off once a year, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you, Troy. Oh, by the way, I just want to say really quickly, hold on a second here. Before I get into this any further. Okay, hold on a second. Where is it? Oh, I know I screenshotted it. Darn it. Oh my gosh, let me just tell you what's in my phone, okay? Shane Dawson receipts, Jeffree Star receipts, Britney Spears receipts, picture of Tucker, Ethan Klein receipts, thumbnail, birthday, Tucker. I love this Smokey the Bear hat. Can you guys see it? Okay, this is a hat. If anybody can find this hat for me, it's like a traditional Kelly Green, okay? Traditional trucker hat, okay? I've found a lot of them. I Googled green trucker hat with this on there. But it has Smokey the Bear on the emblem, and then underneath it, it says, only you. I want this hat so bad. I saw this guy at the gas station that had it the other day, and I can't find it anywhere. It kind of looks, I don't know if you guys can see this. It kind of looks like this. A little bit. But not really. Okay. Gabby Hanna. The book for Peter's book, or the True Crime Book Club for next month. More pictures of Tucker. I have always pictures of Tucker. Oh, these UGG sandal things that I want. These, I have Cozy Mystery. I've taken Cozy Mystery screenshots off of Goodreads. Death by Coffee, Bookstore Cafe Mystery, #1. Murder in Her Stocky, Granny Reed, #1. Jeffree Star Mystery Box receipts. Comments underneath his receipts. Okay, where did I see this? 2 videos. Here it is! Oh, I'm real early. Hey, Peter! This is from Troy, you guys. Can I please, with a cherry on the top, get a birthday shout out on my birthday, November 4th. Love you, Peter, my favorite YouTuber. Okay, so I want to give you a very happy early birthday, Troy, because I can tell you right now, I am not convinced that I will remember on November 4th. You guys, I get so many birthday requests, which is so fantastic and so sweet, and I really appreciate it. But at the same time, like, if I told you how many, where did my glasses case go? Oh my God, it's the Christmas mystery. It's gone. Where did it go? If I told you guys, seriously, what happened to it? I'm gonna have to get out of this car and look for it. I don't have any clue what happened to. You guys, this is the weirdest thing. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. It was in the side of my, ouch, I hurt myself. If I told you how many birthday requests I get on a daily basis, I'm like literally now at this point getting like 20 birthday requests a day. And I love doing them, but I know that the people that watch the videos do not love watching them. Some people are like, oh, this is nice. But I also get comments on my drama videos where people are like, you know, you can save these for the end or you don't need to do them at all. I mean, people get real upset about that kind of stuff. It's like, God forbid you listen to, you know, 45 seconds of birthday shout outs. Okay, I guess your time is so, you know what I mean? It's like, can't listen to somebody else, like, you know, it's their birthday today, like, actually get a birthday shout out. But anyway, when I get them now, I'm trying to do them when I get them, if I see them, because if I don't, I won't remember and I feel really bad. So, So yeah, so anyway. So Troy, happy early birthday. I definitely did not want to forget your birthday because Troy has been so fantastic. He comments on all of my videos every single day. He's always like one of the first people to comment on my videos. He's been so supportive, as so many of you have. I really appreciate it. And he's also an active member of the Vloggerinos over there. So is Joelle. I saw that Joelle posted that she went to that place that we went to in San Diego. She had brunch today there. I was like, oh my God, she's having the brunch there. I wish you would have told me you were going, Joelle. I would have told you what I had. That was so good. It was so, she looked like she had some kind of like potato skillet kind of deal. I don't remember what I had, but I do, like if I'd seen the menu, I could tell you what I had. It was so good though. And it had like a soy chorizo in it. So anyway, I was just getting ready to sign off, and I was like, and then I went back and I was saying something, and I actually said, my friend, ow, this is not good. I said a friend of mine's name. It's something to do with restaurants. But anyway, so, Joelle, I hope that you enjoyed your brunch at something Revolution. It's called like Breakfast Revolution or something like that. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed your time. It's a cool place anyway. Yes, and when I come out to San Diego again, we're gonna have to go out to dinner somewhere vegan, and that'll be real fun. But anyway, okay, yeah, so I'm gonna get off here now. And this has been I've had a great time. I mean, I always have a great time vlogging, but tonight especially, I feel like I could talk for I could talk for 3 hours, but I'm not going to talk for 3 hours because I want to listen to some of this audiobook. So I hope that you guys had a really relaxing weekend and that you got to start your week on a good note, and that you guys are having a magically amazing Monday and a magically amazing beginning to your week. And it's the week of Halloween, so we have that to look forward to. I'm very excited, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you. Oh, I didn't do that right. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!